Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, and yes, that does include all of the streaming shows and everything that is really, really exciting right now when it comes to multiverses. My name is Emmanuel, and while we await the release of Disney Plus's The Moon Knight, we will be talking about some recent news as it relates to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, Moon Knight will be coming out March 31st, and that is just in a couple of weeks. And we'll be going episode by episode with you as you watch that show. Tune into that. I'm sure you'll be watching it when it releases, and we will be with you the following Monday, talking episode by episode. Now, we have a lot of news to get to. A lot of big MCU stuff going on. Spider-Man is still killing it. What If is wrapping up its awards season. Now, unfortunately, it didn't win a lot, but there is some exciting MCU news as it relates to awards. What If, the animated show on Disney Plus that employs a lot of the voices from the original films, but also some new characters that we've never seen before, including Infinity Ultron. I mean, I'm not going to go down the list, but there's quite a few new characters. What If? Well, that show has just won, as of tonight, the Critics' Choice Award for animated series on TV. So congratulations to the team at What If. And honestly, not the first big award for an MCU thing. The Emmys awarded a lot of the craft stuff for all of the different shows like WandaVision. But yeah, What If? Can't wait for season 2 coming out soon. But that's kind of a precursor to some of the other stuff we'll be talking about this episode. But before we dive into all of that stuff, the biggest piece of news, and it's kind of breaking here on Sunday night, is the fact that actor William Hurt has passed away at the age of 71. He won an Oscar in the film Kiss of the Spider-Woman, but you might have known him from broadcast news, AI, Children of a Lesser God, a well-respected actor on screen and on the stage, treading the boards. But MCU fans know him as General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, introduced to us in that Hulk film with Edward Norton, but he has cameoed and he's had roles in a lot of the other MCU films in that shared universe, including a lot of the Captain America stuff. It's very, very sad news, but he passed away at the age of 71. Go watch some of his other movies outside of the MCU. Watch Broadcast News. That's a really good one. Children of Lesser God is great, but watch anything that he's been in. He commands a lot of respect when he's on screen, and it's very sad that he died at a relatively young age. So just 71, honestly, that's not that old. And we'll have to, see how Marvel honors him. I'm sure there's going to be something really special that they'll put out. But William Hurt, great career, great movies. Watch it. Watch any of his films. Fantastic stuff. I brought up some I wonder who created the idea of the multiverse. I'm sure some of you are all professors of string theory and roboticology. All the science stuff that, all that stuff is real. Very, very useful terms for scientists. But we talked a little bit about the multiverse, and Richard Palmer, the producer of Doctor Strange 2 Into the Multiverse, has been out talking to some news outlets, obviously getting a lot of questions about Doctor Strange, and a lot of the speculation really boils down to the fact that he said, you don't know what you don't know, which, is... I mean, I don't know. At that point, you're like, what? But there's a lot of rumors, and he dispelled some of them. But we've seen rumors kind of be really birthed in a lot of truth. You remember when we started talking about Spider-Man No May? Oh, spoiler alert. No Way Home. Can you imagine if it was called No May Home? Huge spoiler. But yeah, Spider-Man No Way Home. There were quite a few rumors of Tobey Maguire's involvement, Andrew Garfield's involvement, and it was deny. You obviously couldn't have Tom Holland out there. He's horrible at secrets. One of the most fun things about watching some of the press stuff is realizing just how much he gave away in those press interviews. But, a lot of this stuff that we're about to talk about when it comes to Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness. I said earlier Into the Multiverse. That's a different movie. Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. So the stuff we're going to talk about that right now. Don't focus too much on it because it could all be fake or just a cover. But here's some of the things that he said. Some people talked about the involvement of somebody to play the next Iron Man. He obviously turned those rumors down, but he also said something about the Illuminati. Now, in the trailer, if you've seen it, if you haven't, skip past all of this. But in the trailer that premiered during the Super Bowl, we did catch a glimpse of a group of individuals in a nice kind of half circle council type seating arrangement, and we also heard a certain voice, and a lot of people took away from that the Illuminati, which is a group of basically the highest minded people in their universes that kind of police the multiverse, which would make sense that it's in Doctor Strange too, because Doctor Strange is a member of that organization. But here's what he said about the Illuminati. He said, quote, "I will say that I love the Illuminati, but if we ever introduce the Illuminati in the future, it might be more MCU driven and have some more ties to our characters in the MCU versus just replicating what's in the comics." Some people would read that as a denial, saying that, oh, well, it's not the Illuminati because we want to introduce that later on with some more MCU stuff. But nothing that he says really discards the Illuminati being in this film. He's just saying that he wants it to be a little bit more MCU, but that's been the formula for MCU movies. I mean, a lot of the costumes are homages to the comic books. A lot of the storylines, the characters across the board are somewhat comic accurate, or at least take inspiration from comics, but relatively all the MCU stuff has been its own thing and kind of driven by the story, kind of creating their own rules as well. So I'm not sure if this is definitely a denial, but yes, that's what he said about that. And somebody did ask him about the appearance, or what an appearance of a voice. Is that what you say? Hearing the voice of Professor X in the Doctor Strange trailer. That's what I'll say. Whatever that is. Can a voice appear? Somebody look this up and email it to me or fax it over. You know what? Go ahead and fax it over. I'll leave the line open. But this is what he said about the possibility of Professor X being in Doctor Strange 2. He said, quote, "There are infinite versions of these characters, and just because you may have heard something familiar doesn't mean it's someone you have seen before." So whatever that means, he basically saying that Professor X may not actually be Patrick Stewart in this version, or maybe it is, or it's not necessarily the version of Patrick Stewart in the Snyder Bryan Singer X-Men films, which would make sense too. So I'm sorry, this whole episode was just confusing. I just came in here to confuse everyone, huh? That's what the purpose of this episode is. But that's just some really quick top line MCU news. I'm trying to think of other things. I mean, there was some kind of disturbing news actually from the set of, or not even the set, but in the city that Black Panther 2 is being filmed, when the director Ryan Coogler was detained at a Bank of America for withdrawing his own money. That's somewhat MCU related, but that's kind of more Ryan Coogler and some institutional issues at Bank of America, but that's all cleared up, and hopefully his movie is completed without much more difficulty. And I guess the last thing that I'll say is, a lot of people worldwide love these MCU movies and watch them, but a place that will not be watching them, at least for the near future, is everyone in the country of Russia, as Disney has joined kind of in the sanctions and the pullback of content from Russia because of their invasion and war on Ukraine, which, is honestly a good call. But, they won't be able to see MCU stuff. But I'm sure a lot of people in the region aren't thinking of that right now. So I guess I'll end this episode first by saying, go to patreon.com/DelphinPod to support the pod and listen to much longer episodes than this. We'll be back soon with some more regular type episodes, especially when Moon Knight comes out. This is just some brief news, and you can follow us at DelphinPod, DelfinPod. But the thing that I wanted to say before I did all of those plugs is we are definitely thinking about the Ukrainians and the brave men, women, and quite honestly children who have stayed behind and are fighting back against the unjust invasion of a sovereign country. We're going to put some action behind these words. We're donating all of our Patreon money this month to a charity that helps refugees and the people escaping Ukraine. You can go to our Twitter and look for a list of those types of charities for you to donate to as well. They will need it during this difficult time. Well, we will be back next week. Sorry for such a short and I know you're tired because of my voice. It's probably grating on you, but we will have other people on the pod next week. We'll see. Bye.